Hey guys, it's Andrew back with another TouchDesigner video. Today I just wanted to show off a portion of the visuals that I made for NetSpend. I parameterized it and cleaned it up, and I used this filter for all three of the visuals that I made. And it's just like a VHS circuit bending kind of look. And yeah, I'll be selling this on my Gumroad for the sake of fundraising um, for the people who were affected by the Lapu Lapu incident in my home city, Vancouver. So if you want to support a good cause and get a really cool visual effect, please consider donating on my Gumroad. It'll be $10 and you'll get this exact file. And yeah, so this project file is split up into three parts. There is the pre-processing, the post-processing, and then the actual filters. For the filters, we have a vertical glitch, we have a warping, and then we have like a grain. The pre-process and post-process is pretty simple. It's just to fit it and then adjust tiny values. So the meat of the project is just in here. And so what we can do is we can get rid of these two, and you can see essentially what's happening here. We have one display seed that kind of displaces it in chunks, like in bars, if you can sort of tell. And then this smaller one, which is displacing it even in like tiny, tiny values. Since it's a displace and it's basically based off of a feedback loop, you want to make sure that your displacement values kind of range to a smaller amount. So 0.001, 0.002. Once you sort of get into a higher amount, it kind of breaks. Um, or like that's not the intended effect that I wanted. So, if you find that cool, you can totally go and explore that. You can also change the displace X as well, which gives it like a pretty cool like smearing effect. And yeah, I like to animate the seeds, and you can just do that with like a abs time seconds, but that's like a bit too fast. So I like to math.floor it so that it only ticks every single second. And yeah, in the transform, it's basically just to uh, change the size of your image. You can move it, and you can also move it up and down. Um, but if you want to add more, you totally can. If, for example, you want to customize any of these parameters inside, what you can do is you can say, I didn't add a rotate, but you totally could. You want to right click and then open parent parameters, open customize parent component. And then what you can do is, so maybe I want to add a rotate into my transform tab. Well, I just simply have to grab this and drag it and then bind as a master. And then I'm just going to change this as rotate because I like everything lowercase. And then what you can do is you can open the parent parameters and you'll see that you can now rotate your banana. And you can do that for any of the top parameters. Um, but yeah, so if you want to mess around with the noise in here, you totally can. Okay. And then the next part is the bloom. And so the bloom is pretty straightforward, I would say. These two pre-black level and pre-gamma level really control how bright it gets. And it's a bit hard to see here. So I'll add these two back in. And essentially, if you just want to play around with this one, depending on the values you choose, you'll get a better glow. And let me see if I can change it to this right here. So if I go into this one, this bloom, yeah. So if you see here, right, it's not as bright, but if I kind of increase the pre-gamma, it kind of gets brighter, and so on and so forth. You can also change the minimum bloom radius and the maximum bloom radius. And yeah, it's really just experimental. Whenever I use bloom, there's no like straightforward one size fit all for me, but I tend to modify like these four options to really get the look that I want. And yeah, okay, let's get into the next one. And so the next one is essentially this warping scan line effect. And I think this one's really fun because what you could do is, well, there's a bunch of stuff actually. There's a warping and then a static. So the glitch strength is set just to 5, but you can crank it up to like, I don't know, whatever you would like 500. But I like a sweet spot of like 0 to 100. And what you can do then is you can sort of mess around with these values as well. Actually, I'm gonna bring this back in because I think this would be cooler if it's closer. Um, yeah, let me do that. Okay, so here you can really just play around with these, and it's pretty subtle, but small changes in the warp strength can actually lead to some crazy, like glitchy look. It's all based off of noise, so if you want it to sort of, if you like find a good range, what you can do is you can really just um, stop the transform on these two noises and really set something. So like if I lock these, right, then I have this like completely still glitched out banana. Hmm. But yeah, so you'll see that this one down here is kind of the warpiness, like the scan liney. I don't know. Like when you press a monitor and you get like the waves. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, and then the other one here is like to move it up and down. And I would say like experiment with this. It does look pretty crazy. If you increase the warp strength while the glitch strength is really high, you'll get the contours of the noise. Um, so usually what I would do is just try to keep the warp strength pretty low, and you can get these pretty cool repeating patterns. Um, and then if you increase this one when it's really high, you'll get very accentuated like straight lines. Um, but yeah, then what you can do is you can also increase the static of it. And this one is kind of crazy as well. So let me turn down the glitch strength back to 5. And these will be 0.5 again. And you can increase this pretty high and it'll get really glitchy. But something that I like to do is, again, when I have this, I can also just do abs time dot second. And yeah, it gets pretty crazy, so you can like lower that down. But super, super fun. Super, super fun glitchy looks. And if you ever think it's too strong, you can sort of turn those back down. But yeah, that's basically the warping effect. And it's essentially based off of these two displacements, or three displacements, sorry. Uh, this one right here actually isn't, so if you look at this one right here, it's just noise, so it actually has no effect on anything. But this one is just a, I guess like a wavy up and down effect. But if you increase the amplitude here, you can really see it, like what it does. I didn't want to parameterize it because I think that it's pretty subtle and like can't really make it cooler. But these two are the glitches. So this one down here is based off of a limit, like a noise and some limits, and then a transform, and then I'm just taking the slope on that. Something that I think is fun is messing around with the limits. Okay, that's not that cool, but changing the quantized value for this, you can get like more scattered noise, or like a glitch effect, I guess, which I really like. And yeah, that's basically it for this one. I would try to keep it kind of low if you want something subtle. Like lowering this down, increasing this. Essentially, the higher the glitch strength, like the glitch strength kind of controls all of the displacement. So if you want something subtle, but you want a high glitch strength, you'll have to sort of keep all of the other stuff pretty low. But yeah. Okay, next one. The next one I would say is like pretty simple. It's just some static and some artifact, film artifact, like effect, I guess. But this one is, so let's go with the artifact. If you lowered this down, you'll really get to see the artifacts, and they're just noise. But again, this is supposed to be super subtle. So I would say probably keep this at like 0.5 and then maybe crank up the size of it and you can see like some of them. And then the static is essentially just TV static. You can increase it. You can also make it colored. But yeah, super straightforward. All in all, you can really do a lot with this. And then there's some post-production as well. Which is just a level can really see like if you really want to mess around with it. I would just say put a level. Like if you think something's too bright, and then there's an HSV adjust as well, which doesn't actually do anything because this is monochrome. But this project file takes in if I turn off this monochrome right here, it takes in colored as well. Really great. So yeah, like that looks sick, no? And then yeah, I think that's about it. I would say really if you want to get into making this your own, try to see what happens if you add different types of displacement and what happens when you parameterize each of these. Like maybe there's something that I missed in here. I don't know. But yeah, this filter is pretty universal, I would say. I wanted to show off some of the things that I made just using some of my old visuals. Um, and I think it's pretty freaking cool. So since the vertical glitch stores the bloom, um, you'll have to sort of make new vertical glitches and play around with the gamma and the pre-gamma. But I think that's fine because after that, you can just go into the VCR and really mess around with this one. Have a bit of static and change the warp strength a bit. And you end up getting really cool abstract visuals. And yeah, like this is just my spinning ball that I made like a year ago. and then can go into, oh, this is my original Netspend visual that I made. And yeah, super cool. Actually, I wonder what happens if I put this, my face on it. Whoa! Hold on. Hold on. What does this look like? Whoa! Okay, wait, this is actually really sick. Cool. Yeah. Isn't that so fun? Let's see. Hey. Sorry, I'm just I got distracted. But yeah, I mean, hopefully you can see like the potential of making of using this. Like, you get some pretty cool effects just using any sort of visual or video that you want. I would really like to see this as like a, I don't know, like on real life videos because I don't really document much of um my real life stuff, but I'm sure there's video editors out there that make really cool music videos and stuff like that. Um, okay, so one of the questions that some of the people who have already bought this filter have been asking is how we can get this entire thing into our palette. And so it's pretty straightforward. All we have to do is we have to take these three by right clicking, and then there is a collapse selected. And then what you can do is you can just go, I don't know, glitch. And then we can just save this component and you can just, hold on, you can essentially find where your derivative files are. And mine are in my documents. So like this. And then once you're in here, you have a palette file. And then these are all of my custom palettes. So I would put this into my glitch, into my tops file. And then what you can do is you can open up your palette browser, go into your components, go into your tops, and then refresh. And there it is. Wow. And yeah, the next thing that you would probably want to do is, since you can't access everything and maybe it might be a hassle for you to go into each one, what you can do is you can just open up the customize parent component again, and then just, add all the pages that you want. So like I would add like page displace, add transform. And then in each of those, I could just drag this, find that as a master, find this as a master as well. And then you can customize everything straight from the the base that you were storing. And then you can just save it again and whatnot. Anyways, yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope I was able to convince you guys on how cool this effect is. I really, really enjoyed making it. And yeah, it'll be up on my Gumroad up until I think May 18th. And then I'll be archiving it. But you can get it with a minimum $10 donation. And yeah, it's a fundraiser. So 100% of the proceeds will be donated to United Way, and that's it. I'll most likely be keeping the Gumroad just for this fundraising, um, because I already have a Patreon. So if you would like to support the projects I make and the cool effects I do, and you want to sort of, you know, grab one of these in the future, consider subscribing to my Patreon. There I upload monthly tutorials and then the tutorial file and then some extra goodies um, for fun because I love how much effects we can make in TouchDesigner. But yeah, thank you again for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!